Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to serve this community. Thank you for the city of Alva, its people, its leaders, the responsibility placed upon those gathered here. We lift up our mayor, our city manager, members of the council. Will you just grant them wisdom, strength, discernment as they lead? Surround them with wise counsel. Steady their hearts in times of pressure. Guide their directions for the good of this community. And we also lift up all those who serve in this community, our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare workers, teachers, city employees, and volunteers. Protect them, strengthen them, encourage them as they faithfully care for others. We ask for your wisdom as decisions are made, wisdom that is thoughtful, fair, and guided by a desire for the good of all. Give clarity in discussion, unity in purpose, and humility in leadership. Help each council member to listen well, to speak with integrity, and to act with courage. May every choice reflect a commitment to justice, compassion, and the well-being of this community. And so we lift up also the citizens of this city, those who are thriving and those who are struggling. May this work tonight contribute to peace, growth, and hope for all. Guide this meeting, we pray, and all that is done bring what is right and good for your honor and glory. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Amen. All right, Stephanie, would you please do the roll call?
Hoffman.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Rugenberg.
Here.
Swallow. Here. Bowman.
Here.
Parsons.
Here.
Ferris.
Here.
Adair.
All right, we have a quorum, so we will move on to number 4, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature, normally approved at city council meetings, will be approved by one vote of the council. Any member of the council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the special meeting on March 23rd, 2026. And B, approval of claims, B, approval of claims in the amount of $197,236.06 and payroll expenses of $240,321.24. Is there any discussion? I will now entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Bowman and a second by Mr. Hoffman. I lost my place in your cheat sheet. Is there any further discussion? Thank you. Please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes. Rugenberg.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes. All right. So now we have reports from staff. The Alva Planning Commission. No report. The Alva Hospital Authority meeting.
I will apologize. I left my notes and minutes at the house, so I have nothing to report tonight.
All right. Alva Public Library Board meeting.
We did not have a meeting.
Alva Arena Authority meeting.
I don't have any update from their meeting, but I will say the arena opened. We had bull battle, and it went really well. I would say, I think maybe attendance was stifled a little bit by the holiday weekend being Friday and Saturday before Easter. But from a operations standpoint, and talking to Larry Milborn, their director, I didn't hear about really anything that went poorly. It sounded like everything kind of went as it should have gone, and people had a good time.
All right. Alva Tourism Tax Commission meeting.
Sadie, before she couldn't be here this evening, but she did report that they funded 4th of July fireworks with Rotary, Nescatunga Arts Festival, and the Nescatunga Golf Tournament.
adjustments?
No meeting.
No meeting. Alva Regional Airport Commission meeting with attachment of airport meeting minutes.
The airport meeting was a routine meeting. The minutes are attached, as you can see. Item 8 of the agenda, the airport board did decide, and I think that we are going to surplus the 2016 Freightliner that was purchased by previous management for a fuel truck, and it's just not going to meet the needs for the airport. They've already got the fuel truck done, and it's just an item the airport owns that they no longer need. We did approve a capital plan for the airport, which is kind of I'm going to call it a living document as grants come along and projects that we find that need to be done. It'll change, but we did approve that, and we also discussed a little bit about the grant for a new terminal that we're put in for. We don't know if we are going to get that, but if we do, I believe it's $5 million.
$5 million grant. There'd be a $250,000 match by the state and a $250,000 match by the city from the airport. And the city's match, there will be some fundraising efforts, which we've already received a pledge of $25,000.
And the state's really pushing to update all the terminals statewide, so it's a lot of great things going on at the airport. Is there any questions?
Would they consider putting it like right where it is or like next to the one?
I believe that's the plan, is to demolish the current structure. The flow is not ideal. There needs to be a separation of flow of car traffic and plane traffic, and right now there is zero. We also don't have a parking lot, so you have vehicles parking where planes could be taxiing. It's not ideal for safety, and that's one of the reasons that the state agency is really pushing a new terminal. The way that terminal was designed, it could be changed, but it will just cost so much, it makes more sense to build a new one. And obviously, if there's funds available, I think it'll be a great deal.
And it would include the terminal, parking, and utilities and some other, just stuff outside the terminal, but related to the pilot experience and the community experience.
All right, Alva Parks and Recreation Commission meeting.
The new lights that were put in for the baseball and softball fields is wonderful. Is what she said, beautiful. That was Courtney's word. They're looking at putting up netting on areas where the foul balls come between the fencing and the stands for those fields. The swimming pool will open May the 25th. They're working on hiring lifeguards, and they will start training soon. Soccer has 240 kids signed up. Pickleball is still very popular. She has 7 baseball and softball tournaments on weekends that are scheduled. Also, we discussed disc golf for the Hatfield Park, and Northwestern had a tournament there this past weekend that went very well.
Alva Municipal Cemetery meeting.
No meeting, I don't think there was a meeting.
Finance Committee meeting on April 20th.
We primarily talked about kind of the financial implications of item 7 on the utility authority agenda for the utility incentive program for the Alva Arena Authority. And we're going to talk about that in the AUA, so I'll just wait till we get to that point. And we all discuss. So nothing else outside of that really to report.
I'll add that we are still very much in a cash crunch. We find something that's going to help, and then we find 3 more things that had been previously overlooked. And so still in a cash crunch, still trying to get some things ironed out, but we'll get there. It's going to maybe take a little bit longer than what I originally hoped.
All right. The mayor's report. So what I have to report would be I played a part in the Lieutenant Governor's turkey hunt, which is obviously intended to bring commerce and business to town and to create more tax dollars and help us financially. And that was really exciting, and I would say that going forward as a city, I would like to see us very much become the how can we help you city when people come looking to open business here or set up shop in some form or fashion. I would like to see us be very forward in helping them achieve their dreams, because it's only going to create more tax dollars for us, which would be very important, especially in our current economic status. And everything else I could report on really falls kind of into Kelly's purview, so I'm going to let the business manager. Oh yeah, sorry. Our empty seat, Mr. Matador, has resigned due to conflict with scheduling and family things going on, and so going forward, we will be looking for a replacement to appoint to his Ward 3 seat 2. And that's all I have.
For my report, I was going to kind of give an update on the ODOT project. I learned, and we learned, but ODOT does not detour traffic onto local or county roads. So ODOT's detours for going around Alva's construction project are 20 miles away from here, 15 miles away from here. So I met with county, with Damian Starks, and we are looking at making sure we've got a detour in place prior to harvest, and hopefully sooner. But it'll take 281 coming north into Alva would detour at, I believe it's Harmon, and go, if you're going north on 281, you take Harmon to the east, and then County Road 450, which is Lane Boulevard, to the north. And then if you're going west on 64, it would take Greer Road over to County Road 430, which is also Skyline, and then turn back west on 64 to go west out of Alva. And of course, if you're going the other direction, you go the opposite way. But the semi-traffic hasn't been, it's been a challenge through that construction project anyway, but now that I apologize for not having known that earlier. Some of you guys probably have known that, but we're going to get those detour routes publicized so that we can hopefully make that harvest traffic go more cleanly. Of course, if they're truckers that are coming in not local traffic, they're going to already know to detour at the proper places, and particularly if they're wide loads over 10 feet, they're going to know to detour at the proper places because of their license and permits. But it's just going to hopefully help with the local traffic primarily. We did, Sadie and I will be attending some public finance training this Wednesday. They'll be going on at the First American Center in Oklahoma City, so we'll head out early on Wednesday morning and going down there looking for silver bullets and magic wands. And so hopefully we come back with the information that's going to help us with some of our challenges. Our FAP project, which is through the OWRB, that's the water line replacement here in town, also included the new ground storage tank at the well field and some improvements out there. But the primary concern right now is getting all the holes in the streets and the yards and the sidewalks and everything filled back up and brought back to their previous condition. Mock started today with one of their subcontractors started today to start filling those holes and everything. So the engineer and I are going to stay on top of them. I did express my disappointment that this had not been started sooner, Just because it rained everywhere else in the state of Oklahoma did not mean that rain was delaying projects here in Alva. And so I hope that they will get after it pretty quick. It should be 10 working days to get everything filled back up. Then we'll get scheduled our final walkthrough, or it'll be a drive-by. But punch list items to get those identified so that if there is anything outstanding, that we get them taken care of before we approve the final pay applications. We do, Damien Starks and I have also been working on the County Road MOU. We had that discussion with Commissioner Bohr, and the first thought was that we would just have an agreement with regard to County Road 430, but with what all District 1, 2, and District 2 do here in the city of Alva, we decided to come with a more comprehensive MOU so that it didn't just limit us to 1 mile of road, because we do have quite a bit of help from the county on our streets that are on the edges of town that run into county roads. So he and I have been working on that. I think we've got something that's pretty close to. I would imagine it's something that they could, if the county agreed with all of it, I think it's something they could approve, and it's consistent with what the council had expressed for that kind of thing. There's no financial obligation. There's no obligation that they do anything, but if they are able to and want to help, they can help. And that's the gist of that MOU. The wellfield projects are continuing. Again, the majority of these wellfield projects, short of the ground storage tank, have been funded through ARPA grant that the Avard Rail Authority was able to secure. It's roughly between $15 and $20 million total investment into our infrastructure, and that's pretty awesome. The 12 new well houses are set. The wells are set. They're doing some, finishing touches, and we are having some challenges with getting learning things, but having some challenges getting our electric meters set. OG&E requires an E911 address for each electric meter that is set. And so while we have 12 new water wells, we will have 12 new E911 addresses for the city of Alva. The county gives us those addresses. We expect to have them within 5 to 7 days, and then OG&E can get to doing their portion of the work. And so that's ongoing. I will report that we did have a pump issue at the pool last week. It made the pool look like it was from Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz for a little bit, but it was a really bright green. And but they've got the pump working properly now, and the chemicals are going through there, and it's getting cleaned up pretty good. But as Mrs. Swallow mentioned, it will open on May 25th for Memorial Day weekend. Also, between now and then, we plan to have the contractors out to do prior to warranty expiring walkthrough and inspection. So there are a handful of things that we'd like them to address. Nothing very major or serious, but get them taken care of before we get into, or before we lose our warranty on everything. So, the mayor mentioned the turkey hunt. I did get to, with that as well, I got to lead a tour of folks around Alva. So we had stops at lunch at ABC, had stops at Graceful Arts. We went to the swimming pool. We went to the recreation complex, looked at the facilities we have there and the ball fields. and then had a tour of Northwestern and the Nightlight and the new Salt Fork Event Center. Lieutenant Governor was very impressed, and it was a great event. We had a good turnout. As the mayor mentioned, I think we're going to see some outcomes from this. So everything from commercial real estate developers to insurance people and engineers. I mean, we had a good representation of different folks and coming to visit Alva, and legislators. Last Friday, we had 4 graduate from CLEAT, and I was going to remember who they were, and I didn't write them down, and I just went blank. But 3 police officers and our fire marshal completed CLEAT training, and so we'll have all them back on the regular schedule, starting today. So excited for them, and we're going to get some normalcy back, hopefully, to some of our departments. You don't have a written report from me today. I will get it to you by the end of the week. So,
Joe's only put one strike down for you, so. 2 more.
I assure you, I'm not slacking. But I'm happy if there's any questions you guys have that I didn't cover, or questions on what I did cover.
All right. Remarks and inquiries by citizens. Don't think that's gonna happen.
Ain't nobody here.
Let's move on to number 8. Discussion and action to declare the 2016 Freightliner M2 with the VIN number listed in the agenda as surplus, and authorize the city business manager to liquidate the surplus asset in accordance with applicable laws.
So as Joe mentioned, this is the
Is there any discussion?
As Joe mentioned, this is the airport's Freightliner. It was not able to be, it was purchased and unable to be used for the intended purpose. It needs to be declared surplus and liquidated, and that money will go back to the airport. Estimating the value around $35,000. The most general process that we go through would be sealed bids, but I'm going to maybe explore some other options to see if there's a way to get more money out of it before we do that. So
Did we give like 65 for
yes.
that ballpark?
And
Are you looking at like online auctions, like Purple Wave or who gets it?
Purple Wave's the only one I'm familiar with, except that I think there are others.
Big Iron's a pretty good one.
Big
Big
Iron
Iron.
Wave.
So Purple Wave makes the buyer pay 10%.
Yes. Cities don't pay.
Oh, they do?
No. Public surplus is the only one I know you can set a reserve on. That we've tried to use public surplus in the past. I think Steve did. It didn't. It doesn't get near the traffic that Purple Wave does, but you can't use it.
Purple Wave and Big Iron both have representatives kind of in our area that will come take all the pictures and put it on there correctly,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Because one thing, whether we go with the sealed bids or whether we go with an online auction, one of the things I want to make sure we do, it's a lumberyard truck.
Yeah.
And so we need to reach out to the area lumber yards or sod farms or whatever and say, hey, this is going up for, auction, and make sure they know to go look for it. Because it'll fit somebody's needs. There's nothing wrong with it. It just didn't fit our need.
Yeah. And it was purchased to be a fuel truck. And the building where the fuel trucks are stored in, this vehicle will not fit in.
Not clearance.
It was a complete lack of oversight. We don't really know what happened. It should have never been purchased, but it was. And we've had it now for close to 2 years, and we need to get rid of it. And we're going to take a little haircut on it, but sooner we can sell it, the better. So I'll make a motion to approve item A as stated in the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Parsons and a second by Mr. Kuckenberg. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. How many, and I can't bring that up. Is this vehicle going to just sit on the lot as a surplus like the rest of the vehicles?
I'm gonna sell it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Parsons.
Yes.
Rudenberg.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Swaller.
Yes.
All right, the motion unanimously passed. We'll move on down to number 9. Discussion and possible action on OMAG election. Let me read all that, Kelly.
So,
Or do you want to elaborate on it?
I can summarize. So, OMAG's our liability property insurance carrier, and it is a risk pool, insurance risk pool. So as a participating member in the pool, we have a vote on who goes on the board. You'll remember in February, I believe, we discussed nominations for that. And anyway, all the nominations came in. OMAG gave us a slate of candidates that they were attached online on the OMAG ballot. I have a recommendation. You don't have to take it, but I have a recommendation that we would elect Pam Polk. Pam is the city manager at Durant. She's a former OML president. She very well respected in the municipal realm here in the state of Oklahoma, and has served not just Durant but also Collinsville, and she has been on the OMAG board. She is an incumbent. She's the only incumbent that I'm recommending. The other two individuals, because we picked 3, the other 2 individuals I'm recommending are Brady Moore and Michael Shannon. Brady's in Stillwater. He's a relatively new city manager, but from talking with their mayor, he's doing a good job for them. And then Michael Shannon is another seasoned city manager, but he's out in Guyman. If we went with any of the other candidates, we wouldn't really have anybody north of I-35. And so that's really the basis for those 2 individuals that, while Pam's in Durant, Brady and Michael are both closer to our neck of the woods than the others. And I don't have anything, any reason to not choose any of the other candidates, but that would be the reasons I'd recommend these.
Did any candidates reach out to you or the city?
Just the re-election letters, and then I talked to Pam.
Pam, yeah.
Is there any further discussion?
So when you make your motion, name the people from the ballot that you want us to elect.
I would motion to vote for Pam Polk, Brady Moore, and Michael Shannon for the OMAG trustee election.
Do I have a second? Mr. Lahr. So we have a motion by Joe Parsons and a second by Mr. Lahr. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Parsons.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Rudenberg.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
All right, that passed unanimously. On to number 10, discussion and possible action to approve the mayor's recommendation to fill the vacancy of the Alva Municipal Cemetery Board. And so I reached out on Facebook, since it's really good at reaching people, and got tons of people that were interested in serving on that board, and then I took those names and presented them to the cemetery board, and I believe they were also presented to city council. And the contention of everybody pretty much led me to Anita Strike and Lee Leeper, and unfortunately Anita and Tom Strike are facing some personal health issues, and Anita asked to be removed from that, so that left me with Lee Leeper. So I would like to appoint Lee Leeper to be the new member of the Alva Municipal Cemetery Board with the confirmation of the city council. Is there any discussion?
So I'd say when you make your motion, include Mr. Leeper's name. If that's what you wish to move.
A motion to approve the mayor's recommendation to fill the vacancy of the Alva Municipal Cemetery Board with Lee Leeper.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Lahr and a second by Mr. Bowman. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Lahr.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Rudenberg.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you. So now we have discussion and action to enter executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B2 for FY 2026-2027 IAFF Local 3782 Union Contract Negotiations.
I have a motion to enter into executive session.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Parsons, second by Mr. Lahr. Any further discussion? No. Okay, call the vote.
Parsons.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Rudenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
I call that a dramatic pause.
It's like a $5,000 trip, $20,000 trip, $600 trip.
We're probably looking at $2,000 to $3,000.
She's really in bad shape. All right, I will now entertain a motion.
Greg, you better get this one.
I'll make a motion to declare the 1998 Western Star DS 490 VIN as stated in the agenda as surplus.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Bowman, a second by Mr. Hoffman. Is there any further discussion?
Drew, I just noticed this. Do they have to authorize me to liquidate it?
I'm just having it in the last one. No, I think we're fine there.
Because you're pretty much the person that liquidates.
Yeah, I think we can inherit from the position. It may be best to put that in the future, but okay.
Please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Rudenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
That passed unanimously. Number 6, discussion regarding water and sewer fees. I will turn the floor to our business manager.
So, I'll just pull this up. We had that discussion at the kind of the non-action meeting that we had, and in March. So blurry. But basically coming out of that, my takeaways were that both our stakeholders and our council members would like to see warnings for first-time offenders, some grace, I guess, if somebody just made a mistake or something got lost in the mail or whatever, and then have a lesser initial fee after that, and then escalate those fees if there's serial delinquency, and then some take into consideration that if we haven't physically disconnected the meter, why is there a reconnection fee? And so I think I've kind of got some ideas around that. I do want to know your thoughts. Once we get all through this discussion, I'll take this back and I'll go ahead and develop a resolution for our rates and fees. The other expressed interest in kind of our timeframes for our due dates, late fee assessments, and cutoff notices, and then disconnections. And so, the other item that was expressed was regarding the swimming pool owners and their sewer fees. I did go ahead and put in here the applicable ordinances that we have, and I'll have Drew make sure that I've got all this right, but essentially we've got our billing and penalties ordinance and we've got our fees and charges ordinance. I've got some recommended changes in here that basically on the ordinance for this one says that the rates established by the utility superintendent. I went ahead and added language in here that our rates are going to come either by ordinance or resolution to the city council. I think it has always kind of been the assumption that city council approved our rates. It was my assumption while I was mayor that city council approved rates, either by budget or by resolution. And through discovery, that's not happened all the time. So we would say in our ordinances that city council approves our rates. And so that's basically what that amendment is. I also kind of added in here that delinquent accounts of 15 days instead of 5 would get a written notice from the city that their service will be terminated. I want to point out the language that's originally in our ordinance is that the service will be terminated. It's not disconnected, it's not reconnected, it's terminated. And so a service termination isn't necessarily a physical, someone came to the meter and turned it off. A service termination is you no longer have service, and if you use our service, whether that meter has been connected or disconnected, your service is terminated. And then that is something that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But then again, utility superintendent or designee, and we had it in our ordinance that law enforcement would go out and collect their bill. And so I have eliminated that, and I've just put an applicable enforcement and or collection agencies will do the collections. I'm not sending the police to go get Joe's water bill paid.
Kick his door in.
And then I added this next part in there for Drew. He can fix that as he wants, but whatever we're changing here to correct our rates and fees, if it's in conflict with any prior dated codes, that these would be what we are going by. And so, and then our resolution, like I said, I want to remove any language that has to do with connect or reconnect or disconnect, and just go with service activation, service termination, and the fees that are associated with those. If your service is terminated due to lack of payment, that's involuntary. There's going to be a fee. If you didn't pay, there's going to be a fee whether we physically turned your meter off or not. And there's going to be a fee to activate it again upon you paying what you owe. If your disconnection is voluntary, and your service initiation or termination is voluntary, there will be different fees associated with that voluntary and involuntary initiation and termination. And then I would put in there an escalation of fees, starting at 0 and then going up. I think, if people can have a good payment record for 12 months, I think they reset. Basically, it's like they got a base hit and they can, run the bases. But if they, have another mishap in their payment history, they start over, and they start getting those escalated fees again. When I do the resolution, it'll include water, sewer, or any garbage. And I want to put some fee considerations for line failures. We don't have anything in writing, really, that has to do with a line break. Our practice has been that if you bring us something that shows where your plumber repaired a line on your property, that will, and that the leak did not go into the sewer system, then that sewer portion of your bill would be reduced. But I want to get some things into writing that have to do with line failure considerations. I would like some input on that, if anybody has any, as far as, even if we want to consider a break in their water rate, if they, they're going to get a bill for anything that runs through the meter unless we decide otherwise. And so I don't know what considerations you guys would want to make there. And remember that whatever considerations we have, we're going to have to also have a means of verifying and enforcing. But those are kind of my thoughts. And I'd welcome any questions or feedback.
I've talked to Ashley, Montgomery, Ashley Property Service about that quite a bit, like the accidental line break. And she says Cherokee and Kiowa both kind of have whatever you're kind of talking about, if an accident happens. And she gave me a lot of info real quick, and I was in the middle of something, but she said she'd be willing to talk to somebody about how they do those and what she thinks works good and doesn't work good from property management side of things. So she might be a resource on that.
You said Cherokee and
Kiowa
Kiowa.
were the two towns that she mentioned that had kind of a system she thought seemed fair. And you can't have a water line break every month.
I don't think that's a bad thing. If the water line breaks between the meter and your house, and it just gushes water for a week or 2 weeks.
They're already going to be upside down.
And
$1,500
now you got
plumber.
$500-800 water bill, plus you got to hire a plumber to fix it and dig it all up. And I think it's not costing the city anything, the water running out of the aquifer into the yard, so I don't think it's a big deal if a plumber will come out and verify in writing that the water line broke between the meter in the house, and it had been running for several weeks before it was noticed. And, I recommend that this be waived or whatever. I think that's fair and a good thing for the citizens personally than charging someone who may not have $500 in their bank account to start with, $500 for something that was completely out of their control, especially with the state of our water lines in town, just in general, always breaking anyways. And so,
And I will add to that whatever we come up with here, I want it to complement an operating policy for the water department that basically, if we're doing work in an area and a break occurs, our staff's first priority will be to restore the service if they're capable. I mean, they're not plumbers, they're not licensed plumbers or anything like that, but to provide some sort of intervention to get water going back to the property. There's language in that says what the resident's responsible for, and so on, but it'll kind of accompany, whatever language we have in here, because I don't want my water department having to be in an argument with a citizen. They need to have some written instruction that this is what we expect, and really, it's like the mayor said earlier, what can we do to help you? And if we've got a line clamp we can put on there and get their water back flowing, or slow down the leak so that they can still, flush their toilets and stuff like that, I mean, for me, that's a win. The condition of a lot of the service lines in town is very poor. And it just is. And some people are going to discover that at the most inopportune times. And if we are working in the area, I want us to do what we can to help. However, we can't replace everybody's plumbing in town.
How much do you think that high water pressure is causing some of this down in this part of town? What we talked about the other day.
Well, if you've got a compromised line and your pressure is high, you know, pressure doesn't,
All of them are high down here.
yeah, pressure doesn't help. Pressure doesn't help. And, you know, I know that much. But I don't want to go so far as to say that the city's the cause of all the problems, because people need, and we've got to have water pressure on our fire hydrants, or it's not, it's the same line, so we've still got to have the pressure to be able to do what we need to do as a city. But when you've got properties that are 60, 70, 100 years old,
I was gonna say, that's probably to me the big thing, is just the water lines are old. And then.
that's why ours are breaking.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say, in reality, you know, yes, the city's providing with water, but beyond the hookup, beyond the meter, that's going to your house. And so I understand that being your prerogative in terms of the line. But as far as the water breaking, I think we could do something like, okay, the water line broke, plumber verifies it, let's just do it. If this person's been living there for a year, let's do a 12-month average of their water bill. And they pay whatever their last 12 months of water bill average, that's their bill. Because we can't accurately figure out what they actually ran through the house. So we can just do a 12-month average or a 6-month average of their last water bills and charge them $100 or $150 or whatever, if that's their average. And we don't, you know, lose out for the whole month, and they don't have to pay a $5,000 or $1,000 water bill for the month. So.
On the pool part, I mean, I'm all for trying to be fair with citizens, but I think that might get us in a little bit of a slippery slope, because there's a lot of people that water their garden a lot, and that's the same, you know, idea. It's not going in the sewage system. You know, how are we gonna, I just feel like it's gonna be really hard to monitor.
I have a pool and a ton of plants, and I would love for that to be a thing, but there's no way to control it.
I just don't know
There's
how.
no way to do it.
That's what I mean, I don't know how to fairly make that happen.
I think you could have a person with a pool at least like apply free, you had mentioned.
So we
like a
do-
free permit.
We do allow people to apply, and it requires a separate meter for their gardens, basically. I don't know any other way to do it for a garden, but a pool, I mean, if somebody has a pool, they can, I mean, we can set up a process where they come in and apply for a pool exemption, and that could entitle them to so many thousand, however big their pool is. I don't know about enforcement or verification. I suppose I could send our utility guy out to verify the size of a pool. And if they have it on record and they've got a permit on record, then we can do a once a year sewer discount on that. Let me see if I can work out all the other side of that, what we would have to do on our end to make the juice worth the squeeze.
If you do it, it can only be once a year, because I put one
Yeah, I wouldn't.
every week, so you can't have people. You get like this time of year.
Right, it's that
If-
one time
if
initial
you're-
fill up.
If your pool has a problem and you go through filling it up 3 or 4 times, I think we have limitations. But, yeah,
There's even a way to get an inline meter that they take with them, hook up and fill their pool, bring it back, it's documented, how many gallons ran through that hose. It's no different than like a gas pump,
Not a bad idea.
because I can drain mine down about 18 inches, and I put 3,500 gallons in it last week. Now that we've come up with potential for this.
Right, you don't get this.
You wouldn't count anyway.
Mine hasn't been filled.
the pool thing I might do separate of everything else that we're
I don't
talking
think
about.
that's anything we're.
I don't either.
I don't think it's here.
Yeah.
Well, the pool thing's a little bit of a amenity. We chose living around the pool. I'm just saying, like, you choose to have a pool, that's kind of a side thing, in my opinion, beyond your basic water.
I agree, I don't, it's not.
You
on topic. Come on, Greg.
What percentage of the water used is used to calculate the sewer? Like the portion
I
of
think
your
it's a
bill, is
third.
it like, so the sewer would be a third of the bill? So if you had a $300 bill, 100 of it would be sewer?
Some people get a better deal on their sewer than others for what water actually goes down the sewer. I think that policy was written back when lots of people had gardens and things like that. But and I don't know, maybe a sewer rate at a third of the water rate is not appropriate either. I don't know. I mean, we have never discussed that one, but
Would we
I'm
just-
not suggesting we change it. Just
What about if the meter's faulty? If the meter reading comes back wrong?
so we do check meters and send meters off for testing, and we all of that. Doesn't work out for all of our customers, but we do have a process, and when I say it doesn't work out for all of our customers, I'm not saying that I don't. If we can't make a meter repeat its failure, it's hard to say it was the meter, and that it's just all there is to it. So we do try to make the meters repeat the failure, and when they do, they don't get charged for that. Our practice is to go back on the average.
Any further discussion?
Sounds like we're moving in the right direction of trying to.
If all goes well, I'll have an ordinance and resolution in front of you next month. If that all sounds acceptable. And I prefaced it, if all goes well.
All right, let's move on to number 7. Discussion regarding utility incentive program for the Alva Arena Authority for economic development purposes.
So, the Arena Authority would like to see that our, key stakeholders of the arena or beneficiaries of the arena, which is the county and the city, have some skin in the game, so they say. For economic development, which the arena is, and the benefit it's going to bring to the community, we can consider some kind of incentive program for the event center. I think, in terms of cost to the city, water and sewer is something that we can offer at a very economical cost to the city and a very high reward to the event center. The other utility that we have is our trash service. The trash service is not as economical of a gift or incentive for the city. However, it would be of great value to the arena. And then the other aspect of incentive that I think the arena would like, they've expressed it anyway, is they would like to use our 2022 Packer truck that has yet to be declared surplus. Has not yet been declared surplus, Greg.
We've got a lot of surplus sitting around.
But to kind of reduce their burden with our Waste Connection service, they could have that they use on their campus, and with some poly carts, gather up their own trash, run it back and forth to the transfer station as they need to, which would kind of help them. All of these things would help them financially get off on a better footing. And so
I'd also add on that, it was discussed in the finance committee meeting, if we did choose to do that, that all maintenance, repairs, fuel, everything would be on, we would still have access to use the truck ourselves as the city, but all maintenance, fuel, repairs, everything.
They would own it, they would insure it, they would
Yeah,
maintain it.
everything would be their dime, but we still have the right to use the truck as we need it.
So are they paying, is this for all of their trash or just for like event?
In between event trash.
The trash truck would be for like in between. They're not gonna be able to conduct their whole operation with that 11-yard packer truck. It's not possible. So they're still going to have expenses related to waste connections, trash service. This would just limit some of that, 11 yards at a time.
Now,
What incentive did we give the prison when it came to trash and water when they first came? Because I remember we gave them some, I just don't remember what.
I would have to do some research on that.
This would also, the trash truck would also entail us giving them the $100,000 trash truck. So,
Can I just buy it?
I was gonna charge them a fee every time they dumped it. But whether they buy it or we
Just
give it.
seems sketchy because I'd like to fix my alley, but you guys don't want me borrow the grader. And I put fuel in it. I mean, it's,
So the Alva Arena Authority is a political subdivision of the state of Oklahoma. It would be an intergovernmental transfer.
it's good.
It's not letting Sammy borrow the grader.
Other difference is the city's also a beneficiary of, if that goes belly up, the city and
We
the
own it.
county own it 50/50.
now, when we started with Waste Connection, the agreement was they provided sanitation to city-owned property, is that correct?
Not all of them.
Not all, just some. Okay, so that's something that when contract renews, we could look at, trying to get that in there.
Well, they would never go for that.
They want it.
That's
Too much.
way too much garbage.
And then as far as, because they're going to have some Waste Connection, I would
Mhm.
assume. And in just my opinion on that, I think it would be more than reasonable to give it to them at our cost, but I don't know if we should encumber paying for it. Does that make sense?
That's kind of what I suggested, a percentage over cost.
Yeah.
It was also suggested during the finance committee meeting that, if we do some type of agreement with them, that it not be more than like 5 years, so that we can go back in and reevaluate, since you guys opened, has sales tax actually gone up in the city? Because if we are generating more sales tax because of them, that significantly more, that offsets the cost of us giving them deals on, water, trash, giving them trash trucks, so it would also be one of those things, we wouldn't be like a long-term, here, we're just gonna do this for 20, 30 years, it would be like a 5-year deal, we reevaluate and see what the benefits actually been to the city, if any.
And they came to you and asked for the trash truck, was that them? Or was that just kind of I just can't see that they want to be in the trash hauling business along with the event business.
I can't either.
It
But
makes no
yes, they did
sense.
ask for that.
They have my understanding, they have 3 staff members. How are they going to facilitate this? Do they have 5 now? Okay.
I mean, only one of them would be in the.
But they require a
It does not require a CDL. Okay, so that's a little.
We've already surplus that truck, right?
Sadie
I think
I thought we did.
Sadie looked back at that agenda item and we only surplused all the poly carts and that stuff. The trash trucks were not included on that agenda item, it was just all the poly carts.
And we're still using that trash truck.
Yeah.
How many more trips do we think we're gonna be making to Mino then?
That's why they would pay a fee for dumping.
Okay. So,
And I got a pretty good number for what it costs us per yard. Somewhere. would charge $500 every time they dump that 11-yard packer truck. Our semi will haul about 4 or 5 of those. So $2,000 to $2,500 would be what we would get from them to.
Some of the problem with that might be though, are they going to have the ability to completely pack that 11-yard packer truck every time? Because you sure don't want it getting a third of the way packed and then set off to the side for a week or two and not emptied.
That'll
That could
be their issue to figure out, because no, they're not gonna wanna deal with that smell.
no, or trying to get it out of there once it sets up. I mean, so you're gonna almost have to be able to gauge, is there 3 yards in that truck or 7 yards in that truck, or is it packed full with 11 yards?
I'm not interested in gauging how much trash they put in it.
That's their problem.
It's per dump.
If that truck shows up to dump, whether it's half full, third full, or fully full, it's $500.
I mean,
Have they actually really thought it through for you? I mean, I'm just asking if they really truly thought.
I do wish that they would tell me what they want.
Why don't they just rent a roll-off and keep it on the back of it?
They'll be doing that also.
Seems like that.
The roll-off would be 30-yard roll-off, less than 5 tons is $646. 30-yard roll-off, more than 5 tons is another $68.40 per ton.
And how long are you allowed to have a roll-up?
That's
A lot
between,
of people just have one indefinitely.
that's between them and Waste Connections. They'll bring it in. Well, I mean, they'll do it through us, but they can,
So what if?
they pay for the dump.
I mean, but like, they get it for a week, 2 weeks?
We pay for the dump. City of Alva's bill is each time they dump it.
so that 646 is
That would be
our
our rate.
cost,
That would be our rate. That is not our
what we
cost.
charge the customer.
Yes.
Okay, for 30 yards of trash. And 11-yard packer truck, I guess, 11 yards packed, what is that equivalent to not packed? Do we have any idea?
About 33 yards.
I had it.
So, I mean,
You had it in there, it's about a 3 to 1 if you.
I looked at that, and that's how I came up with the price.
I mean, to me, it looks like, and I could be wrong, that they're gonna be maintaining a truck and having staff time to save $146 per load? Is that right? That just don't make any sense to me. If they can get a 30-yard roll-off for $646.
Well, but the convenience of that packer truck is that it'll drive around the facility and pick up a poly cart and dump
Oh,
it.
it can pick up the, okay,
Yeah.
okay, now I see the purpose, that makes a little more sense, okay.
Because the roll-offs, or the dumpsters are not on wheels. The roll-off is not on wheels. Wherever those are, they're stationary.
So it's, okay, I thought it wasn't able to pick up, I thought it was having to pick up.
No, it's got a dump.
Okay, well, that makes a little more sense, I thought it was just trying to say, okay.
Probably needs more discussion down the road.
If we did it, I would say to do it for a year to see if this is the biggest disaster. Trying to figure out who is this and who is that. If they end up trashing our truck out.
Well, I mean,
That would be the other thing too, now we bring that up. If they did this for a year and decided this was a mistake, we shouldn't be doing this, I think there should be something written up that if you decide after a year, 5 years that you're gonna sell our truck, it reverts back to ownership of the city of Alva and we get to sell it and surplus it for our own money. I don't think we should just let them have it and then if they decide they can't handle doing this, they get to sell the
I
truck.
like that, yeah.
cannot be sold without city council approval.
And sold funds go back to the
Pretty
city
much
of Alva.
leasing them the truck.
I think if you just say it can't be sold without our approval, basically whoever's on the city council at that time makes that decision whether or not they keep the funds or the funds come back to the city. We don't know what tomorrow will bring.
also talked about too, the cost of the trash will be, about $500,000. But the cost to us, if we gave them a break on the water and sewer, is only
Few hundred.
that $520 or whatever that is for the water. That's over 20 years. Over 20 years for us to cut them that deal, it would cost us $520 in expense. Now that is, we're foregoing the revenue of their water and their trash bills.
And I want to clarify, this does not include our expenses related to maintaining our system. It is just the expense to treat the water.
Yeah, just the water treatment, yes. Count water lines or any of that.
Because the true cost per a gallon is way more than we'll ever be able to charge anybody in our community.
So I think that was when we talked about the water and the sewer. If we did do that deal, that's where we talked about a 5-year plan where we could go in and reevaluate. Has sales tax since that opened up actually gone up? Are we seeing that foot traffic increase? And is that out? Are we getting more benefit from sales tax than it's costing us to forego what we're not collecting in water bill from them?
So what I'm hearing is lots of conditions on the truck. Not unreasonable ones, but more conditions on the truck. I'm hearing a preference for water and sewer incentives. And I'm hearing consideration of the waste connection service at cost or lesser markup than our regular rates. Is that what I'm hearing?
Is that what they discussed with you? I mean, as far as like the waste connections, were they expecting, or were they asking for to not pay anything, or were they expecting it? Knew they
I
had
wish
that?
they would have told me what they wanted. This has been difficult, and I've asked.
I was gonna say, it's really kind of been Kelly's brainstorming on what can we actually afford to do to help them.
When I've talked to Mr. Holder, he wants whatever we can do. We all need to have skin in the game, is basically the conversation. I've drawn it out, I've drawn out a 20-year forecast if we did everything, and gave them like a $3,000 a month credit. And, escalating prices over with the 3% annual inflation adjustment, and over 20 years, we could give them $1 million in benefit, and it costs us $500,000. But we're not in that great of a spot to forego revenue right now. And so that's kind of the issue.
Part of economic development is bringing people here so we can sell more utilities.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
And so I think giving them some incentive with their utility program, I think that helps them help us. I do think it's not a self-leaking ice cream cone or anything like that, but it does help them help us better, especially in the early goings when they don't have as many things booked, and it's going to take them a while to fill that schedule.
Now, what's the longest agreement we can enter into with them on something?
Utility authority,
Yeah,
perpetuity.
okay. I was gonna say, I would think 5 years would be absolutely max.
Well, I would be okay with doing long-term forecasting, but like here it said,
Short-term guarantees.
short-term guarantees.
Yes, yeah.
Because if we don't want to forego revenue the whole time, they end up being a sinking ship either, and we get, you get nothing out of that. So, don't want it to fail, obviously, but, on the same token, we've got a whole city of people to take care of as well. And we don't have money trees growing out back, so.
And they will be getting funds through the tourism the hotel motel tax, so, I mean, they will be getting funds through that.
And what was the original, like, we agreed to give them a certain $100,000.
Well,
or something out of that.
The tourism committee set aside a $150,000 CD, that I'm not sure its current value offhand, but yeah, there was a CD with tourism. And then, for event, activities, they'll have the option to seek tourism funds for events as well.
We also discussed in the meeting that if we did do some deal with them on the water trash, that we'd also want in the contract that we have some priority to do some city events out there, if there's something we need to do or host, that they have to set aside slots for us to be able to use the facility as well if we did something like that.
Everything I've looked at has been very much draft and very fluid. I have a lot of ideas of how we can do something, and everything from lots of dollars to not so lots of dollars, and so it's kind of one of those things where I think if the consensus is that, yeah, do something with the trash truck, make sure we can use it, make sure they don't, sell it, without our say-so, that kind of stuff. I do think I can put something together that has a water and sewer incentive that'll be very easy to put together. And I do think I can figure out a Waste Connections option that is less than the going rate but covers our costs. And unless there's anything else to consider on that, I'll get something worked out.
We done with that? Any new business?
There's nothing that qualifies to my knowledge.
All right, we will adjourn the utility authority meeting and enter into the Alva Economic Development Authority meeting. Call this meeting to order. Can you call the roll, please?
Hoffman.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Rutenberg.
Here.
Swallow.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Parsons.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Severance.
Number 3, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items: approval of the minutes of the special meeting of March 23rd, 2026, and approval of claims in the amount of $79,651, and payroll expenses of $19,108.73. Is there any discussion? I would entertain a motion.
I'd motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Parsons and a second by Mr. Lahr. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Parsons.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Rutenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Passed unanimously. Number 4. Number 5, any new business? No new business. We will now adjourn the Alva Economic Development